Hey everyone, Nathan from Aussie Green Thumb here. 4 months ago, I started using Airgarden's Aeroponic Grow Tower, and I wanted to create this video as a detailed review of my experience, which will hopefully help you in making the decision if an air garden is right for you and to help with the setup and growing process. I'll start the video with the tower setup, then move on to planting, pest control and harvesting. I'll share my thoughts on the system and the tips and tricks I have learnt, which I wish I knew at the start. Before we get started, this is a quick note to let you know that Aussie Green Thumb has a bunch of new video content on the way, including more gardening product reviews, interviews, how-tos for gardening, and much more. So click subscribe to stay in the loop. And now back to our product review of the Airgarden Aeroponic Growing Tower. Hey everyone, Nathan here from Aussie Green Thumb, and today we're going to be setting up our new Aeroponic Grow Tower from Airgarden. The Airgarden is an Australian-made grow tower using aeroponics, which means that the plants grow with the roots exposed without any soil. With this grow tower, you can grow 30 plants in just 1 square metre, and the Airgarden is suggesting that you can grow these plants 3 times faster than if they were in soil, and with very little maintenance, which is what we will be testing out in this video. If you want to know more about aeroponics or the Airgarden, we have a great interview with the Airgarden founders Prue and Tom, as well as a written review of the grow tower on our website, Aussie Green Thumb, all of which I will link to in the description below this video. So our nutrients. This product is suited to people who want to grow their own veggies, but have a small amount of space, such as a small yard, a balcony or apartment, and people who have little time to garden, or are just getting started out with growing. So with that in mind, let's set up the Airgarden. So the first step is to put the bung cap in. So there's no instructions in the box, but the instructions are in a very easy to follow video that Tom has done, which is on the Airgarden website, which I'll add the links to the post and to the video below. So this is for later when we're growing. So what we've got is the hose and adapters, which we'll put together next, and we'll put the wheels on. And then the timers for later, the wooden spoons for later, and we've got these 1/2-inch adapters, which we also need. So that is for when we're growing, and that's just a nice bag to go do your shopping with. So then once you've got the wheel on and it's in, you can just spin it around and just make sure it's tight. I think you want your wheel coming loose when it's filled with water and all your plants. So you just make sure you put the washer on over the bolt. And pop it through. So now, flip it back over. So I think it's good to have a knife or some scissors available to open everything up as you need to. Alright, so now we're going to attach the hose adapters to the plastic pipe. So you unscrew this, put it in. Give it a good push and turn, make sure it's locked in. The worst thing is when one of these come out. I'm sure you'll know from when you have your garden hose and it pops off. So now we'll open up our pump. This here needs to be turned all the way around to max. So what we're going to do now is I'll just give this a quick
turn over, clean this out. So now I'll just put the pump into the middle of the reservoir. Make sure to give it a good push. You want to make sure that it's secure here. You don't want your pump turning over. So that's pretty secure. We're all locked in. So I assume we just... So you put the cable through. Just kind of leave a little bit of slack in there. Just in case it pulls. I don't want to be pulling the pump off. Just sits on, so then you can fill up your reservoir later on. Just gonna turn this around now. So now lock your wheels in place. Now, the thing you need to do is make sure you bring the hose out with you. Now here's our basics. So there's a notch in here that you want to just lock it. The notch there goes into there, and then we're just going to turn it so it locks into place. So that's it. And then with these, make sure you put your hose in. We've got these pins that'll just go into there. Make sure we line them up. So you want to make sure there's no gaps around the outside. So on here we've got there's a little mark just there, which we line it up with this section here. And then it should just twist across. So I thought I was locking these in all the way, and I was just taking the little notch to the padlock, but they go all the way across to the other notch. So make sure, I've just locked them all in now, that you go all the way from one dot to the other dot. Okay, so that was our last one. So now for this, what we need to do is go from the top side. So go from here with this and screw it down so we can plug the hose in from the bottom. So screw it down until it stops and doesn't go anymore. Okay. And that's it. So the Airgarden is set up. I'm just going to open up this. I'm not sure what's in it, but I'm pretty sure that's the end of the setup. And so now we just fill the reservoir and then plug the power in. So that I have opened upside down. So these are for growing your seeds in. So I'll put them back in, and this is your little seed container, so you can grow seeds and get your seedlings going before you put them into the Airgarden. That's just got... Alright, so now we've found the instructions of how to set it up. What's in the box, where to put your Airgarden, which I was saying you need a bit of sunlight, but we'll go through that in the next video.
For the growing side of things, Airgarden provided a few packs of seeds, nutrients, Coil growing pods, a pH testing kit, some measuring cups, and a timer for the self-watering system. For our first round of planting, I decided to go with seedlings instead of seeds. So let me show you how I got the seedlings ready for the Airgarden.
Alright, so to get these seedlings ready for the Airgarden, we have the cocoa fibre pellets, and we're just going to give them a water, and these guys are going to expand. It'll take about 5 to 10 minutes. So now while we're waiting for the cocoa coir to expand, we're just going to get these seedlings ready. So I've left them out in the sun a little bit too long, but what we're going to do is we're just going to give them a bit of a wet, and we want to expose the roots. So the Airgarden is a soilless system, so we just want to get all this soil out. So we don't want to damage the roots, but you do want to try to keep them intact. We want to get most of the soil out. Once it's started to break up, it can go a bit harder, and it seems that the soil will come out a lot easier. Those bits of bark will just pick out by hand. So there we have all of our roots exposed, and this one's now ready to go into the coir. So I'm pretty sure the Airgarden is just one plant per coir. So this here, in this one seedling, we've gotten 2 of these snow peas. So what we're going to try and do is just to separate these guys, and then we've got 2 different ones which will grow individually. Alright, so now that it's ready, what we're going to do is just pop these out from the bottom. And Tom's like, you want to make them as tall as you can, so just give them a bit of a squeeze on the sides to loosen them up and to make them a little bit taller. And you just want to get your finger and push it in, set it almost to the bottom. So I'm just going to keep going down. So I'm about there at the moment, so I think that's enough. I'm bring it out, and then I'm just going to get this seedling and try not to disturb it too much. Just feed these roots into there. And then just pinch it around the top. So I think that's good. Now I'll get on to the rest of these.
Now we just let the seedlings grow in the coir pods until the roots come out, and once the roots have established themselves, then the seedlings and coir pods are ready to be transplanted into the Airgarden. So while the seedlings are in this tray, you need to give them water every couple of days, then let them dry out before you water them again, and then make sure you take them out to get some direct sunlight in the morning. Not to be left out there all day in the harsh Australian sun. Just a couple of hours in the morning is fine, and then take them back inside to a nice warm place. And then check them every 3 or 4 days to see if the roots have started to come out.
Alright, so it's now day 12 after planting the seedlings into the grow pods. So as you can see here, we've got our roots coming out on nearly all of our seedlings. We've only got just some snow peas and a couple of coriander, basil and stuff where there's no roots have shown yet. So the rest of these we're going to put into the cups and put them into the Airgarden. So this is our cabbage. So I'm just going to squeeze it in, down like that. And so there's a list in the booklet which tells you where to put different plants. So big growing ones like cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli go in the bottom, then your leafy greens, and then your herbs, and smaller plants on the top. So the cabbage will come down here into the bottom, like so. And yeah, these ones here don't have any roots out yet, so we're just going to leave these for the meantime. We're just filling up our reservoir. We've got the tap on, so we're just going to get this ready. We're just going to put in 190 to 200 mils of part 1. And the same amount for part 2. Alright, the reservoir is now full up to where the cable comes out. So in goes solution 1. Just give that a stir and wait a moment. Okay, so it's now been a minute or 2. In goes solution 2. So we're just going to wait a couple moments. So we're going to take some water out of the reservoir and test the pH levels. So we want between 5.5 and 6.5. So ideally around 6 is perfect, but anywhere in that range is fine. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fill the test tube up with half of the water and then add in 2 drops of this indicator. And then I'm just going to wait, put the lid back on and wait, and it's going to come to a different color on here. So we want this yellow one here at 6, pH measure of 6, but anywhere between 5 and 6.5 is fine, just because it's a color, so depending on the eyesight to what you get. So if it's too high or too low, this one here, we'll bring it down. So if you're at over 6.5, you'll use a little bit of this one, and if it's too low, you'll use a little bit of this one to bring it up. So I think we're between 6.5 and 6 on here. We're more around the 6.5 mark. Yeah, so I think just have something behind it so you can tell what the color is, because if I hold it up here, I've got some trees there and it just looks green. But if I hold it to the sky, it still looks green. To the paper, it looks quite yellow. So I think that's quite good. I'm happy with that. And that's it. So now we'll just set up the timer. Our timer's now set. We've done 1 notch down for on, which is 15 minutes, and 2 notches up. So it's on for 15 minutes, off for 30 minutes, because we're between 15 degrees and 35 degrees at the moment. Alright, so I'm just going to go plug it in. Got the notch onto the timer. If it's on that, it'll just be on the whole time. And that's it. We can hear the pump has started, and it's good to go. So now just a couple of days we'll put the other seedlings in and we'll monitor this one to see how it's growing.
This is the growth progress after 5 days. And this is after 8 days in the air garden. You can see we still have some seedlings that are in the growing pods as the roots haven't broken through yet. This is day 15. At this stage we have seen some decent growth and all of our seedlings have made it into the air garden. So in this one, certain things are like really doing well. Like these chives, the celery, this cos lettuce, it's exceptional. I've got a few plants here with lots of small shoots coming up. I've taken some time to trim the larger leaves to promote new growth, and I've used those cuttings to make a delicious fresh salad. So we've just arrived home after being away for 10 days. Before we left, we had some aphids on the rocket, which you can see here, here, and this one here. So we sprayed a homemade solution on them, but then being away, we weren't able to observe the plants. So you can see that a couple have struggled. So the 3 rockets have struggled, and 1 lettuce. So we're not sure if this is from being the side that isn't facing outdoors in the sun, which is where it was set up, and it was left for, I said, 10 days. So we've got on the other side, it is pumping. It's looking really good. Like all the plants are going really well, except for our powdery mildew down there on our zucchini. Everything is looking great. So I think it may have been a sunshine issue, but our leeks and our spring onions have gone sideways rather than pointing up now. So I'm not sure what's happened there. But apart from that, everything else is looking good. It's now been 5.5 weeks since we got the air garden and our seedlings. And it's been 4 weeks since the seedlings have been in the air garden. So as you can see, a lot of it is going very well. We have already done 2 harvests and we've taken some off the lettuces, the bok choy. You can see they're all going good. Our snow peas, we haven't worked out how we're going to make them grow upwards yet. But everything else is going well, especially the coriander. I'm quite impressed with that. We've taken a fair bit of this as it's been growing. But yeah, we also most of our rocket. We had aphids, as you can see. I just noticed them again now. Is that pak choi gone? There's a heap of aphids just in there. So we've got a homemade spray which we've been using, and when we use that, we sprayed them the day before we left, but then putting that inside and them not getting direct sunlight, we had some casualties all on the same side. But apart from that, it's been very good. I think it's growing well, and yeah, as I said, I've had 2 harvests already. Next time, I wouldn't grow the same things. I would be quite bit more particular with what we're going to grow. Like I wouldn't grow zucchinis or cucumbers again this late in the season. So we're in the mid Blue Mountains and it's a lot cooler here. So we've had days during summer where we have a fire on and like it's been cold, tops of 15. So we haven't really had the nice summer weather. So I think we've just replanted some things for winter. So we've got some more rocket, some spinach, and some other winter things like Brussels sprouts, which are in there growing now. We've gone from seeds this time rather than seedlings,
just as we're a little bit impatient with putting some of them into the air garden through the pods, rather than waiting until the roots really took hold, we threw some in when they only had small roots coming out. And I think that's hindered the growth a little bit. But all in all, it's a great product. I enjoy, it's a pro and con that it's on power rather than solar panels. So one is you need a power point nearby, which is why this one is on our front deck rather than on the back deck, where there's a lot more direct sun. Because there's a power point here. The back deck doesn't have a power point. But it does run through the night, and so I'm not too sure if it didn't run through the night on solar panel, how the roots will go and if the plants will thrive as much as they are. Yeah, I'm happy, very happy with the product. It's very easy to assemble. I would recommend, if you've got a power point outside, it's quite an easy, it's very easy setup. There's a little bit of work, as I said, with the seedlings, waiting for them to grow, and when you're excited, a bit of impatience comes into it. So the next round of new plants in here, I think is going to be a lot more successful than this round has been, as we're growing stuff now and we're organising it. So we'll have more of the same thing, so we can feed ourselves like a lot more rocket, a lot more pak choi, and some more herbs, rather than these bigger things like we've got chilies here where we've had one chili growing. So it's not, for this time of the year, it's not really fruitful. We've got cabbages, we've got snow peas, we've got zucchinis, and we've got celery, where these things, and we've got our leeks and spring onions, where it's a bit more like, well, if we have fresh greens, we will use them more, like the coriander and the herbs, like we used a lot of the mint. But yeah, the waiting for a leek when you can just go buy a leek, I don't think the time is worth having it spent in here. So being very particular with what you're going to grow, like the things like spinach and stuff that just keep growing, the lettuces that you can just keep tapping in and growing and growing and growing, rather than waiting for a fruit to come through, I think is a lot more beneficial for these products. I'm very happy with the Airgarden. I'm very excited to have it, and I'm very excited after this learning curve for the first time of how the stuff's going to grow. We've learned a lot, and an important thing I would recommend is keep a gardening journal of when you fill up the nutrients, of when you plant things, of when you plant the seed and the seedlings, just so you can keep track, especially like with the water, your timing. There's a lot of things to keep track of, but it's quite easy. It's only 10 minutes a week just to check the pH and the nutrients and the new seedlings and that. But at the start, you're wanting to grow. It's a very easy way to garden. Once you have the seedlings in the air garden, it's easy. Like when we're indoors, you've got to take them outside and inside. If you're working, it might be a bit of a pain depending on the environment and where you're working. So if you can have the seedlings in the sun for a couple of hours, and then you got to move them back indoors where there's still sunlight, but they're warm. There's just a few things when the seedlings are getting ready to come in, but once they're in the air garden, it's very, very easy, except for the aphids. That's the only issue we've had so far, is the aphids, and when we moved it inside and we like the sun. It's great when you're cooking dinner and you're like, oh, I just want some fresh herbs. Oh, I just want a bit of mint. Oh, let's just make a little salad. And you just come out and you just get some rocket, you get some basil, you get some spinach, and you just make a mixed green salad. It's beautiful, it's fresh, it's straight off it. And as you can see, we've had 2 big harvests, and we still have been taking stuff off like every few days, and it's going really well. I would recommend the product for people that don't have a lot of time to garden. So there's a lot less work with this as if you're planting outdoors in your garden, where this, you've got the setup, which was about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, then the seedlings, which was a little bit of work, but if you just go from seeds, take a little bit longer, which we're documenting now. And it's pretty much a set and forget, as long as you've got good positioning. And then when you've got this, it's just of a Friday afternoon, I come check it, and that's it really. It's super quick, and then you've got fresh herbs, greens on tap. So yeah, people that are time poor but have a balcony or some good sunlight indoors, I think it's a great product for. Another thing I like about the Airgarden is it's white. So we've had a couple of caterpillars which have come on here, and so when I just come and I'm eating my breakfast out here and I just have a look around it, I'll see the drop-ins of the caterpillars. They show up really nice on the white frame, on the white base. So it's really easy to go, oh, there's a caterpillar on here. You don't have to inspect all your plants, you just go, there's a caterpillar in this area, and you just have a quick look and you can find them. And I've found, I think, 4 so far, and it's taken me about 15 seconds. So that there, I think, is really handy, where with some of our other gardens, you don't know when you have caterpillars because the drops camouflage into the base.
Aside from checking the pH levels once a week, you also need to trim the roots of your plants to keep them thriving about once every 2 weeks. And when the weather is warmer, you'll need to check your water a bit more often. We've got new roots here, which are great. These ones are a bit old. I'm going to try and get rid of some of these to encourage the new root growth and to prevent root rot. This is the Airgarden at 9.5 weeks. And you can see the cabbages are doing well, the snow peas are taking off, the spinach is doing well, it's doing quite well. Here we go, we've got our habanero chili, it's almost ripe. But yeah, the coriander has been a highlight for me. And you can see the celery here taking off as well, which is cool. This is our shallot getting ready to go, and you can see our leek popping out the top there. So I left 2 in one just to see what will happen. They're like half the size of this one here, all planted at the same time. We've got these seedlings, so we've had 6 gaps here from when we went away and some of them died. And so now we've got these seedlings, so it's been 6 weeks with nothing growing in like a 20% of the Airgarden. So I would recommend buying some spare pods, and then you can grow your seedlings. So these seedlings are 5 to 6 weeks old, so you can have the seedlings growing before the Airgarden is ready to pull out. So we've got this that I want to pull out, but I didn't want to pull another thing out and have pretty much an empty thing and it had some flowers. But like, yeah, we've got a couple of other things, like our basil hasn't really done too much. It's got a bit of issues with its roots. You can see it's got a little bit of root rot. I've tried to clean it a few times, but it's just not really coming back. So like that needs to be pulled out. But I wanted some other things growing first. So I didn't want to have like half an empty Airgarden. But yeah, we'll get some new pods. So for the next cycle, then we'll just let these ones dry. And that's a wrap for our Airgarden review. Overall, we're stoked with the progress in the Airgarden and are looking forward to continue growing and harvesting with it. You can find the link to our written review along with all the relevant resources in the description below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.